Hello, everybody. This is actually the very first episode of Warrior Vetrepreneur Podcast. I've recently rebranded from Victory Leaders Lounge to this one because I am going to be focusing more on my veteran family audience, and we're going to be talking about entrepreneurship. This is brought to you by my company, Victory Leadership Coaching. And we're going to go out there and inspire veterans to transition and be successful. So today I have Sarah Moore with me, and she has had an amazing journey through her military career, and then she's done a bunch of stuff afterwards. And now, my gosh, the stuff that she does with hiking, I know she does yoga too, but the stuff she does with hiking with her clients, it almost inspires me to want to start something similar because I love getting out in nature. But I'm going to let her tell her story, and she's an amazing Army veteran, correct? And so
correct.
she's going to talk about what she does. She's one of those aviators. So let's see where the conversation takes us. How you doing today, Sarah?
Good, JJ. Thank you so much for having me. This is exciting to be the first on the new podcast format. I love it.
The new podcast format. Well, it's going to be very similar. It's almost exactly the same as what I was doing, but I just, I got to focus on the veteran family because the transition is struggle. It's like we lose our identity when we leave the military, and then civilians don't speak or have the same level of oomph that we do. It's different. We don't even speak the same language when we go out into the civilian workforce. And so it's great to have these conversations and let everybody out there know that it doesn't matter, what your transition has looked like. You can still go out there and win.
Absolutely. And we have so many ways that we could go with all this, but what you just said is we lose our identity when we leave the military. And I have really just started kind of like my own personal mantra and campaign when I talk to other people. And it's like, if I could tell our community one thing, the military is what we do, what we did, and something we're really proud to be part of, but it's not who you are. And it seems like during our time in the military, that part just kind of gets stripped away of who we are because we have this identity of a uniform and everybody else comes before us and all that. And so then when we transition out, it's like, okay, well, I've given the last 20 years of giving, and now I don't know who I am anymore. So that, as soon as you said that, I was like, oh yeah, that's 100% true.
Well, we got to inspire people to go out and win. So let's get into your story because I think it's pretty awesome. Would you mind telling us a little bit about your background and giving us an introduction to you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I joined the military in 2002. I enlisted in the military after the 9/11 attacks, and I just felt so strongly that I had to do something for my country. I didn't understand why we were attacked. I didn't know what was going on. And that really drove my desire to be part of something bigger. So I was actually in my freshman year of college at the time, and I did leave college for a while to go enlist. I was an 88 mic truck driver, like just picking whatever job was out there. And then I went back to college and majored in Middle Eastern studies and Arabic because I really wanted to figure out and understand what we were doing in the Middle East. And that was really important to me to understand, my service and why we were there. And I really enjoyed my time in the military thus far, so decided to do ROTC, commissioned as an officer, went aviation, and became Black Hawk pilot. And that just kind of, propelled my journey from there. So as you know, during that time, it was the surge. There's no downtime. We're constantly deployed. When you're not deployed, the Army decided your rest time would be going to like your captain's career course and your other, professional military education. So like there is, it's downtime, but it's not really downtime.
No.
So during one of those events, my downtime was going to the active duty captain's career course in Fort Rucker, or Fort Novosel, I think is what we've named it now.
Oh, I think she might have lost her signal. Oh, there we go. She's back. All right.
And that's what
it's always great till it's not, but that's okay. You said something, I'll let you get back to it, but I did not know Fort Rucker changed its name.
Yeah, it changed its name, and I still can't automatically say its new name. I always go back to Fort Rucker because that's where.
Well, I don't even know what it is, and so you're one step ahead of me. But anyway, keep on going, please.
Yeah. So during that training, my nervous system was on fire from deployments. I was in an abusive marriage. I had nowhere to live when I came home from deployment. So actually going to that school was kind of a blessing for me because at least I had a roof over my head and, kind of knew what I was doing. I had severe back pain from deployment. So I was having physical issues. And then I had undiagnosed PTSD at that time and service related anxiety. So all of these things, and I was afraid to say anything too, because flying was my life. And I knew if I said anything like that, I was struggling mentally or anything like that. I was like, well, you can't, please don't take away my flying career because that's literally all I have right now. So it was during a dunker exercise. And for those that don't know what dunker is, it is the underwater egress exercise that all of our flight crews go through. So you go to a pool, you get in a simulated helicopter, the helicopter sinks into the water, flips upside down, fills with water, and then something else happens. A collapsed seat, cabins filled with some sort of irritant or something, and then you have to try to escape. I'm not a water person, and so when that happened, my nervous system just broke, and I had a panic attack. And it was something that I couldn't even feel coming on. I didn't know what was happening. In retrospect, I knew that it was my nervous system that couldn't handle all of the things anymore. And that was just the event that broke the camel's back. And so after that was the changing point in my life. My rock bottom, my things, I have to start addressing things that are going on with me personally, with my health, with my mind and body, and the whole suck it up and drive on mentality that we have in the military. Just, you can't do that 100% of the time, all the time.
No.
And so what happened after that was I was forced to take a break from flying. I did go get counseling and therapy. And from there, it was just, piecemealing these little parts and pieces that could get my life back to where I wanted it to be. And going through that, it's all the different modalities that I put together in my program and what I've decided to do with my life now. But it really made me stop and think that so many of us are doing this to ourselves, and we're stressed and we're angry and we just think that this is the way that we have to live. And it's not.
No.
And I wish that we were taught all of the things that I've learned now while I was in the service so that I could apply those. And I did. For my last 5 years of service, I did, and I had a great career. But yeah, that's kind of how I had to hit rock bottom and realize I need to help other people.
Well, and I think a lot of us, the more I do these podcasts, the more I talk to veterans, the more I volunteer over at the Liberty Center locally over here. It's the identity and the mission that most people miss, and then they think they're nothing when they get out. So, I mean, it's great that you found that. I think it's important for us to do exactly what you're doing and to help people go out and inspire people. And thank you for sharing your story. I find that it's great when people know that when you're suffering from post-traumatic stress. I suffer from post-traumatic stress. You have your story with post-traumatic stress. We all do. I mean, if we've been in combat, and by the way, sometimes just the military lifestyle can cause that. Now, people don't understand the type of stuff that the late nights and the early mornings because they wanted to do a urinalysis, or maybe we wanted to do a drill for something, or practice for a deployment or whatever the case may be. I mean, sometimes just that lifestyle, especially when you're married, it's very difficult. So that struggle continues, and then you just kind of go through the motions, and then the military has this environment where you suck it up and drive on, and then you transition and you're around a bunch of people that I love civilians, right? But they woe is me about some of the, to you it seems like what they're doing is so silly, but it's not. I mean, everybody has their own journey, but it's difficult. So getting around other service members that have integrated into civilian life and done what you do and found a way to take their passion and turn it into purpose. A lot of us veterans figure out how to help other veterans or other people in general. And that's what it doesn't take the symptoms away from our issues, but it definitely gives us something to work towards, and it fills our heart center. And so thank you for sharing what you do. We're definitely going to get more into that, but tell us, you do yoga, you do these great trips. I mean, my goodness. And by the way, you have this entire set of training that you do leading up to these trips to get people ready for them. Please tell us about this. I mean, my goodness, it makes me want to go out and do it.
Yeah, well, please, I've got spots for you. Come on out with us. So,
okay.
So I want to explain kind of like how I got to, because I'm really, really, I purposely am down a certain path, and the way that I set things up is not just a retreat; it's a journey. And so the way that I have set this up is I really took what my healing path was, and I've packaged it into a way for someone to heal and learn about, I'm going to use some big words, but neuroplasticity, learn about the nervous system, learn exactly what PTSD and the stress that we live in does to your body and how you react to it, because all of us react differently. The system is the same, but our reactions are different. So I didn't learn how to heal or recover from my PTSD until I learned the science behind why my body is going through this. So the first part of my package and my journey to get you to, eventually hiking and trekking with me is a 12-week neuroscience journey online. So before you even go and go on a journey, you learn the science behind what's going on in your mind and body. You practice daily on resetting your nervous system, because it's not a one and done thing. It's something that you have to do. You have to learn how to do it first of all, and then you have to do it. It's just built into our lifestyles now. And that's kind of the price we pay for doing the honorable jobs that we've done in the military. So 10 to 15 minutes a day is nervous system reset for me, and that's okay, and it feels great. So you learn that, and we learn, again, the science behind things. And so we learn how to work with ourselves, and then I teach you how to interact with other people, so that, we don't have this kind of like veteran anger that kind of bubbles up when we're like dealing with crowds and other people and our family members. And so we teach you how to go through all of that. So that's the first step. And I guide you through it. And we have monthly meetings where we're with our cohort or our teams that are going on these journeys. So we all get to know each other, and it's kind of fun. The second part of that prep is a 16-week mountain athlete journey. So the treks and the stuff that we do, I've developed this basically couch to 10 miles trekking program. And it's not just a list of hikes and stuff that you need to do to get ready. I also include yoga, mobility, and flexibility, because stress is stored in the body, in our major muscle groups. And so in order for us to start to release that stress, we have to include the mind and body practice. And so the Mountain Athlete program is the physical practice of the healing journey. And then in addition to that, whichever journey that you're going on, either if you're doing my Mount Everest base camp treks, or we're just doing a tour through Nepal and Tibet, like whatever we're doing, you have a pre-adventure course. And that course, again, we meet monthly, and I walk you through everything from like visa preparation, how much money do you need to bring, how to do international flight planning, because that's just not, like
Yeah,
you
not
never
normal. Yeah.
know. So we walk through every single thing, and then you have access to me the entire time, if there's any questions or anything that you need to go through as you're going through this. So that's the lead up to the journey. And that's really, really what I wanted to focus on, because I want to heal people. There's so many organizations, and there's great organizations out there. But if you just do the 2-week retreat or the 1-week retreat, you get the camaraderie and you get the people, but there's really, it takes a long time to heal. And so we do the healing before we even get on our journey.
Okay.
So then our journey is basically like this fantastic celebration of the time that we have worked together and talked and worked through all of our issues. And we meet up in Nepal and go on an amazing trek together. And while we're on the trail, I teach yoga, I teach meditation. We talk, there's so much talking that goes on the trail, which some people want to be quiet, that's cool, but it's just like being outdoors and being able to like share information and share your story with others that are with you that get it. It's just so therapeutic. So that's the process. That's the basis. And I get so excited just thinking about it.
Well, and I love that because you go through this journey of virtual education with a group of people for, what did you say, 10 or 12 weeks?
Yeah, 12. So 12 weeks is the mindfulness journey, which is kind of our nervous system reset. And then it's 16 weeks. I give you an extra month for the physical fitness part.
Okay.
Just in case you're not quite ready for a huge trek yet. But yeah, and that's for everybody, even if it's not a physical trek. I still want you to get in the best shape and enjoy your time.
Of course. Well, you can't really enjoy it when you're wheezing all the way up the mountain, right?
That's a fact. That's a fact. I mean, at like 17,000 feet, you're still going to wheeze a bit, but
oh yes.
Let's not make it harder than it needs to be.
You can't train elevation. I mean, unless you live in a wonderful place like Colorado or Montana or something like that, you don't have the luxury of training for elevation. But right. I love that you go on this 16-week journey together. You do these monthly meetings and you get to know each other a little bit, and then you get to go and actually hang out on this trek that you do, a retreat, trek, whatever you want to call it. But it's just awesome. I would spend all my time in the mountains or out in the woods. I just think that this is, from the last time we talked, that this is all I could think about. You're like the main guest that I've been looking forward to because of these journeys that you do. I just wanted you to tell more people. And by the way, if you're watching, because I see a few of you are, please interact with this. If you have questions for Sarah, if you want to talk about how we help veterans with different things, it doesn't matter. Ask questions, interact. We encourage that. That's what this show is all about. But no, I when you told me about that initially, that's the only thing I continuously think about. And I told, now me and my friend, we're considering next year doing an Appalachian Trail trek, and just nice. That's not just a 10 miler. This is kind of a big deal, but I've always wanted to do it anyway. That's awesome. So yeah, this is how people inspire other people. You share what you do, you share ideas, and at the end of it all, it motivates you to know that you can go out and do these things. And Sarah's out there motivating people to do awesome things.
You can absolutely do these things. And, our society, and we always, people are always looking for the quick fix on things.
No such thing.
I think one of the biggest things I've learned with our community, and especially dealing with PTSD and anxiety, is it's manageable. You can live the life that you want to live. Your life isn't full of stress and anger, because our bodies through the military have just defaulted to this high alert, high stress, and we're not meant to live that way. So
no,
we have to retrain our brains to not be in that fight and flight mode all the time. And it takes time. It takes time. And that's why this, my journey leading up to that is 12 weeks, because it takes, and it's going to be lifelong. That's just your introduction to things. I don't want to think that, anyone to think that you do this for 12 weeks and you're fixed. But once you understand, and once your body starts to, learn, hey, I don't need to be in fight and flight all the time. I can turn it on when I need to turn it on. That's Once you start realizing that, then you start applying it to every day, and that's where the real healing starts.
Well, and I like the way you put that, because if you do all this work to get yourself ready for a journey and to help yourself heal internally, and then you stop doing the work when you get home, then you did all this work for nothing. And so, I mean, it's just like training in the military. We train to fight. And when the fight is over, sometimes I gain quite a bit of weight after I get out of the military. But we do these things, and we slow ourselves down. But if you want to stay in the fight, you got to keep working for it. And you never know what's going to come up in your life. And if you just sit at home and suffer internally with your PTSD and you woe is me all the time, I mean, it's not going to help you at all. So if this journey that you're putting people through works for them, then they need to keep doing that same work. So
Absolutely.
Do you do any work with people after they're done to continue this journey?
So I have a community, an online community that's available to anybody after the trek is done. And it's the same sort of monthly meetups, the check-ins. Every month is something different. So it's either, like, hey, we're going to do a yoga practice, or we're going to get back into our mindfulness practice, or, hey, I learned something new about neuroscience. Let me tell you this latest information on PTSD, or, something like that, where it's just kind of an accountability check-in. And then we also have, so I do my big Nepal trips, but then I do a Colorado hike and camp weekend every summer. And it's just kind of, new people are definitely invited to come, because I know Nepal is not accessible for everybody. So you can do your own journey and have, Colorado be your culminating event. But for those that have trekked with me before, they get a special invite, discounts, all that good stuff, to come hang out with us again in Colorado. And we've had multiple past trekkers come and do we call it altitude check, because really we go into the high elevations, and we just give everyone a sense of idea of what it feels like to go to Nepal and be at elevation. But so that's available. And then as I go further into 2026, 2027, we're looking at adding some different destinations and just different events, treks, because not everybody wants to go to Everest Base Camp. So it's
or like what you said, not everybody has the resources to make it to an Everest or something like that, which is fine. But Colorado, my gosh, if anybody who's listening has never been to Colorado, and I don't know where you typically do these base camp things, but Colorado is beautiful. I mean, if you go to the Appalachian Mountains, the Rockies, I mean, it doesn't matter what mountain range you go to in the United States, you just get to do this. It's so enjoyable. The wildlife is different. You get away from the noise. I mean, I guarantee, even though I haven't done her specific thing, I've been to these places just for camping and hiking trips myself, and it's worth it.
Yeah, we usually base really close to one of the Colorado 14ers, which is, for those that don't know, 14ers in Colorado is like a huge, huge thing, because it's all the highest peaks that are above 14,000 feet in elevation. Wow. So we tackle a different 14er every year. This year we're doing Mount Elbert, which is the highest in the state. But when you come to this, if that's not your jam, we just hang out at the campsite and go on day hikes. And this year we've got a camping site reserved along a reservoir. So we're going to bring the paddleboard out. Like, we're going to, it's really just about camaraderie and day hikes. And I teach yoga outside, and just having everyone sitting around and chatting, and we campfires and all that stuff. It's just such a team building event. It's fantastic.
Oh, team building is awesome. And I think that's one of the things that we always called it embracing the suck, because we hated all these organized things that we did while we were in the military that took us away from our day-to-day job. But when you look back at it, the day-to-day job is not what you remember. It's all the stuff that you hated. You actually had a good time once you get in there, and we called it embracing the suck together. You know, that's where all the team building and camaraderie happens. We are getting really close. We have about 5 minutes left. I just wanted to ask you a question. So for veterans who feel lost or disconnected, what's one action they can take to start reclaiming their life, in your opinion?
Find a hobby that will introduce you to a new community. That is, when we don't have the military anymore, find something that you and only you love, and you will start to build a new community out of that. So if you loved team sports in high school, go join a community team sports team. If you want to start a new hobby, like get into something that's yours and really start just expanding your community. I think that's the most important thing, because I remember getting so much of that stripped away when I was in the military. And so, yeah.
Oh, the community is built in when you're serving. I mean, my goodness, you don't have to worry about anything, because you know, if you're a platoon sergeant, you can go to your XO, your platoon leader, or all the way down the line. You have all your resources because it's explained to you on a regular basis, and you report to the same person all the time. And when you go up higher and you're in that staff element, you know what each S staff does, or whatever level you are. It could be J staff, it doesn't matter. But I mean, where to find all the answers, and who to talk to that could be your potential networking. When you go out into the civilian world, if you don't plug into a network, it's easy to get lost. And I will say that for the business community, I have started a network called Vetrepreneurs, just like this podcast. I'm going to be moving it over to Discord because I found that you can do more things there, like live streaming and stuff like that. But currently, it's a private community that's off of social media. I'll share that with you. But anybody who doesn't have a business and is a veteran, I mean, don't discount your VFWs, your American Legions, your DAVs, all of these places that are just the Wounded Warrior projects. I mean, all of these places that are just stacked full of veterans who are just shooting the breeze all the time. Your community still exists out there. So feeling lost, it's okay to feel lost, but don't stay there. Do something about it. Go talk to people. Go smoke and joke, or go. I don't really encourage the drinking, but I mean, have a beer at the bar if that's what you prefer. I mean, but you just go out there and visit with people. The camaraderie is important. These days, you can even go on places like TikTok and all these other social media platforms, and you can get a community there too. Just know that there are resources out there, and people like Sarah, people like me, and other passionate veterans. Vet SOS Podcast is another one who's doing great things. Homefront Sit Rep Podcast is doing a bunch of great things, introducing the community. Know that there are resources out there. Reach out to people that know what the resources are, so that you don't have to be lost anymore. Sorry, I rambled on a little bit there. But Sarah,
no, that's perfect. It's so important that finding your community, your family, your friends, that's what gets us through.
Yes. And before we end, I have to ask you this, because you shared so much great information, and I know it's in the description for anywhere you can find this, for all your websites and all that stuff. But if somebody wanted to find you or contact you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
So you could the best way is Instagram or Facebook. Both are under Blue Side Yoga. You can also go to bluesideyoga.com, and under contact, you can send me a message directly, and I will be able to reply right back to you and help you with whatever you need.
Outstanding. Well, thanks again, Sarah, for being a guest on the podcast and sharing your journey with us today. And thank you, everybody out there who's been watching. Feel free to interact next time. It's a lot more fun when we have audience interaction, because we get to know what you want instead of what we want to talk about, even though It was a great conversation with Sarah. We want to hear from you guys too. So that's really all we have to share for the day. Thank you for the pilot, for joining us for the pilot of the Warrior Vetrepreneur Podcast. And we will see you next time, which is actually in about an hour, because I have another one coming up very soon. So thank you, everybody, and we will see you all later. And don't forget to click follow on my YouTube channel and subscribe. Have a good day.